At the beginning of the Parsha, God tells us the number of men in each tribe who are eligible for the army, 20 years of age and up. And then he gives us the aggregate numbers for each one of the 4 camps. Every 3 tribes was part of a camp. And then he gives us the aggregate number of all of the army eligible men among the Jews. Why is God doing our math homework? Once we have the number for each tribe, we know which tribe was in each camp. We could just add them up and get those numbers. And once we have the 4 numbers for each of the camps, add them up and we get the aggregate number for all of the Jews. The answer, according to one commentator, is that God is teaching us a lesson. We find ourselves in different situations. Sometimes you're alone. Sometimes you're in a small group. Sometimes you're in a big group. And you're judged based on how you act in each of those situations. Sometimes people do a great job when they're alone. Wonderful, incredibly dedicated servants of God. But as the saying goes, you can't take them anywhere. The second they're in the middle of a group, even a small group, they're acting obnoxiously, they're arrogant, they're insensitive, they're selfish. And sometimes you have people who, when they're with friends, they'll act in a certain way that their friends or their family members understand. But then they'll act the same way in a large group, which is totally inappropriate. And realize you're in different relationships in your life, and you're judged how you act in each one. There are people who are wonderful husbands but terrible sons. People who are wonderful fathers but terrible husbands. You're judged how you act in each relationship. And in each relationship, in each situation, you're supposed to give it your all, do your best. Never can slack off, regardless the situation, regardless the relationship. So I want to share with you a story that I hate to tell over because it's painful, but it's instructive. A number of years ago, there was a wonderful shortcut in Manhattan if you were leaving the city, heading to New Jersey during rush hour to get into the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were on 10th Avenue, as long as you were in the 2 leftmost lanes, you could make a left on 39th Street and zip right into the tunnel. You had to be in the 2 leftmost lanes because there were cones in between the 2nd and the 3rd lanes from the left, because cops did not want people from the 4th and 5th lanes trying to get over all the way to the left and creating a traffic jam or accidents. So I'm sitting in the 2nd of the leftmost lanes. I can make a left on the 39th. There's a van to my right. He's on the other side of the orange cones. He can't make the left until he puts his window down, reaches his hand out, picks up an orange cone, takes it into his van, closes his window. Now he's created a spot, and he zips it in front of it. He makes his left turn. And I am in a state of disbelief, not because he did it, but because he did it while wearing a yarmulke on his head. And I'm literally saying a prayer, God, please let it be that I was the only guy that saw that the guy who just did that was wearing a yarmulke. What's he thinking? That's why God invented baseball caps. Put one on, or take your yarmulke off, or better, don't do that. Don't act like a knucklehead in public while you're visibly Jewish. We have to be so mindful of how we act in every situation, especially when other people are around. We're judged as a member of the Jewish people. We're representing the Jewish people, especially right now, with the eyes of the world staring at us all day long.